So you're gonna need Dollar Tree cookie sheets. Cut the corners so that it will be easy to cut on the sides. You will need, it depends on how you trace your petals onto the sheet, you will need between 12 to 14 cookie sheets. You need to be careful in cutting, and I usually cut 2 layers at a time. And after you cut, then you will use templates for your petals. There are 6 petals, different sizes. You will trace 12 petals each size. I trace my petals using markers onto the cookie sheet. So now I am done tracing, and so there's 2 sheets. When I cut my petals, I cut 2 sheets at a time. So I actually trace only half. Instead, I only trace 6 of each petals because I will have 12 petals all together since I am cutting them 2 sheets at a time. So this is my biggest petal of my sunflower, rustic faux metal sunflower. So I cut 12 petals of each size. As you can see, there are like 6 petals with different sizes. So 12 petals each size. There you go. That's the biggest petals. So I'm actually just trying to, if you want to make 2 sunflowers of this kit, you can do that. You just pick 3, you will have 3 layers each of your sunflowers. So right now I am just trying to lay all my petals and just to have an imagination of how to put my petals and how my flower would look like if I only have 3 layers of petals. 12 petals each layer and 3 layers of petals. So this is just showing you on how your sunflower is going to look like if you will just use 3 layers or 3 different sizes of petals. So now that's the second layer, and this would be the last size, which is the 3rd layer of this petal. But this is just showing you that you can create 2 sunflowers of this number of petals. But you could also make just 1 sunflower of all of this. But see, this is how it's going to look like if you will only have 3 layers of petals and 12 petals each layer. So I kind of just pull out and alternate sizes of my petals. And then I'm going to try to make or to lay the petals also on the other 3 sets of petals. So the reason why I'm putting my first 4 petals right across from each other, so I know my spacing of my petals. It is very important for me to layer or to my first layer to put really good spacing, because that would be the base of my second layer, third layer, and so on and so forth. As you can see in this practice, I tried to put my second layer in between the bottom 2 petals. And so this is just showing you that if you want to make 2 sunflowers of this 6 sizes of petals, you can do that. And this is how it would look like. And but also you could also just make 1 sunflower out of this petals. You will have 6 layers of petals and it will look fuller. So that's how it works. Alright, so this is the second petal that you can create if you decide to make 2 sunflowers out of these 6 sizes of petals and 12 petals in each size. Alright, so here we go. Now I am going to put them back together and we will get ready to do the next step. So now I am going to show you, if you would like to make 1 sunflower out of this 6 sizes of petals with 12 petals in each size. I am just kind of putting them together so you will have an idea of how it would look like if you will use all of the sunflower petals and you will just make 1 sunflower. So that's the first layer of petals, and this is the second layer of petals. And it's kind of hard to do the spacing right now because the petals are not glued onto the surface, so it just like to move around. But I'm just showing you how it would look like if you will use all petals and you just make 1 sunflower. It's going to look fuller and thicker because that would be 6 layers of 12 petals. So that's the second layer. Now we're going to do the third layer. So just giving you an idea of how your sunflower would look like if you will just make 1 sunflower. So it's actually just up to you, whatever you prefer. So now I am almost done with the third layer of the petals. So let's put the 4th layers of the petals. The 4th layer of 12 petals. I think this looks really, really pretty. All right, 5th layer of petals. Okay, the last layer of 12 petals, the tiniest petals of the 6 sizes of petals. So your smallest petals will be on the top last layer. There we go. That's how it would look like if you will make just one sunflower. Now you have this circle. That's what you're gonna put in the middle of your sunflower. So you're gonna use a foam board. You're gonna cut it and then wrap. So you're gonna cut around the foam board. Cut your cookie sheet and make sure you will have an allowance. So like this is the second one. As you can see, I did not cut to the edge of the foam board, but that's because I will cut some slits outside of my cookie sheets. That way I can fold it over and there won't be, and then the cookie sheets won't be like it'll be easier for me to fold that edges right there. So that's how I would look like. And now if you don't want to put the cookie sheet, that circle on the other side, like right now it's the top side, if you don't want to do that, that's fine, because actually that side is going to go in the bottom. So you don't really need to put that. But in my case, I did. So this would be the front. When you put this center on a sunflower, that would be the front. Okay, so I'm showing you the two bases. You could use plate and then drill holes in them. There's two holes. Then you could use twine. Put the twine through the holes. So the reason I would like to use the plate as my base is because it's heavy. So if I want to put this sunflower outdoor when it's windy, at least it will stay still because of the plate. Now we're gonna paint. So in this case we are using I am using this chalk paint. It's called Elephant, and then I also use this other one that's called Truffle. So here we go. We're gonna paint our petals, all the petals. So I painted my petals with it's called Elephant. The color is like elephant. And so we're gonna paint all the petals that you cut. So in doing this, you actually have some options. You could either paint the cookie sheets, the whole cookie sheet, before you will cut before you will cut the petals. So if you want to paint the cookie sheet first, you can do that, and then after you paint it, you can trace on the other side of the sheet. You can trace your templates of your petals on the other side of the cookie sheet that doesn't have any paint. So it works either way. I have done both. I have done painting the cookie sheets first before I trace the petals, before I cut the petals. So now I am painting the center, and what I do is, since this is my center, I use the truffle color for the center, and then I am going to put like around the edges, I will paint it with elephant. So it's kind of be like the opposites of my petals, because in my petals I paint my whole petals with the elephant, and then the edges is truffle. So this is, now I've painted them all, and now what I'm doing is I'm painting the edge of my center using the elephant color chalk paint. So because that's my center of the sunflower, which is my rustic sunflower. So this is what I do if I want my sunflower, my project to look rustic. I just use some brown paint on edges and kind of smear some brown paint all over my petals. As you can see right now, I am painting the edges using the truffle color. Since my petals, the color is elephant, so now I am using painting the edges with truffle. Maybe it's a different word. It's like brown color. And so that's how I would make my petals look rustic. As you can see now, it looks rustic. So that's what you're gonna do until you are done with all the petals. You just paint the edges with that brown truffle color of paint, and then after you paint the edges, and you just kind of smear that, brush it off on the petals. So there we go. Here's still another I'm still going to show you one more time of how you do the edging and how you make your petals look rustic. All right. So now these are all done. I already put all the paint in the edges. Okay, so now you can see my plate has like probably around 8 inches in diameter. If you have a bigger one, that is fine. And so the reason why I kind of mark a marker in the middle is that so I know where to put all my petals. And so it's just my guide, and it won't show anyway after we put all our petals. So now I'm ready to put together all my petals. And what I'm going to do, I usually put first like 4 petals across from each other, because I want to make sure that I do at least a little bit of accurate spacing. I'm kind of just estimating right now, but this way it is better to put all 4 petals right across from each other so that I can estimate in between. So after these 4 petals, then each space will have 2 petals all together. So now I could estimate that in each in between these petals, I'll have to put 2 petals each. That way it's easier to estimate if I will do that, so the spacing will be better in my petals. Alright, so there's my 4 petals close right next to each other. My glue just came off, so now I'm going to try to glue that last one. Alright, so now I'm going to keep going to the second open space. I'm going to put 2 petals again. And I'm using Gorilla Glue Stick in this project so that it will stick really good, and it can be, this project can be used for indoor or outdoor. Alright, so our base is almost done. We're halfway through. One more for this space right here. There we go. Oops, my glue just came off, so I kind of cut a little bit on that because my twine was in the way. So there we go. Now I need 2 more petals, and my first layer should be done here. And my first layer will be my basis for my second layer. So that is why it's very important that I will put my spacing will be good in my first layer, because that is like the foundation of my sunflower project. Alright, so I am done with my first layer. Now I'm going to put my second layer. So this time I don't have to put all 4 petals. I can just keep going. I can start with 1 and then just keep going, because I already have the foundation or the first layer. So what I'm going to do, I make sure that my top layer is in between the 2 bottom petals. So as you can see, and that's why it's very important that your first layer of petals have a very good spacing. If you've noticed, I've been putting my second layer of petals in between the bottom petals. Alright, so I am done with my second layer. Now I'm going to make sure that all the petals are glued in, and we will go to the third layer. There we go. You just have to keep going, and you want to make sure that your top layers of petals are always in between two petals underneath it. So this is my third layer of petals, and we are done with the third layers. We want to make sure that all the petals are glued really good. Oh, there's one, maybe two more left, and then it should be done. Then we're gonna continue on with the fourth layer. Here we go. Look at that. I think it's coming together. It's looking really nice. All right, we're gonna do our fourth layer of 12 petals. Don't forget to make sure that you want to put your petals in the top petals in between the two bottom petals. Okay, we're getting close to the end of this layer. We'll have probably one petal left. So that is the end of it for our fourth layer of petals. Now we're going to keep going with the fifth layer of petals. All right, one more petal on the fifth layer. Okay, now we're doing our last layer of petals. Remember, there's 12 petals in each size. If you want to adjust the number of petals, you can do that. It just depends on what you prefer. If you would like to make 14 petals in each layer, that would be awesome, but you just have to figure out your spacing of your petals. To me, 12 pieces or 12 petals in each layer is just perfect. So that would be my number of petals that's ideal for my own project. But you could do adjustment of your petals if you don't want the 12 petals in each layer. Alright, so our project is ready for our center to put our center in there. So now I'm just gonna put glue around it, so I want to make sure that it sticks. Okay, and then just push it down, put in that center. Push it down until you think that it is already adhering to the sunflower project. And there it is. Here is our rustic faux metal sunflower made